I'm Laurel Holloman, and you're listening to You Might Know Her From with Damian and Ann.
Ding dong, hello, and welcome to another episode of You Might Know Her From
with Damian and Ann.
Whew, folks, it's Damian, and I am feeling heat stroke right now. Yeah. I just got back from the Botanical Gardens in New York. What a trip. I was with my mother who's visiting. She was eating berries off a tree. She was are these edible? Google it real quick for me.
Were they chokeberries, and did she eat them?
They were chokeberries, and she ate them, and then we went back through. We got caught in the maze again, and she was like, well, here we are again. I'm going to grab some more. You want one this time? And I did it, and I said, oh, this makes me think of being a child, like eating berries out of someone's backyard. And they don't taste good, but you think you're doing something that's bad.
Oh, for sure. I love that Patty and I are on the same wavelength. I was in Vermont with my partner for the last week, which was really lovely. And we were picking thimbleberries off the side of the road, eating them. Thimbleberry, if you don't know what it is, looks like a raspberry, but it's not as good. It's beautiful. It's tiny. It falls apart in your hand. They didn't taste that good this year, but I appreciate that Patty's a person that's eating off the vine. Me too. I'm Ann. I'm here in New York. I'm back in the city after, it's been a whirlwind summer so far. I'm glad to be back. I've been in Missouri a lot, seeing my family. My sister's in town from Sicily. I went on a float trip with my siblings that my brother sort of orchestrates every year. We had a wagon hitch, a trailer hitch? The whole thing.
I don't know what any of this is.
I camped out. I
just imagine you're on an inner tube for 48 hours, which is not really what it is.
It isn't. And here's the thing. People did not know what a float trip was. They had never heard of it. You can do it on an inner tube. I did it in a kayak and a canoe. And we were on the river for 9 hours, and I was pruned about 5 hours in, and then you just stay that way. But it was it was really fun. It was really good, and it's like a rite of passage if you're a Midwesterner.
Well, it sounds fun. I'd like to do it. So, for my 40th birthday, you promised me that I could ride on the back of a motorcycle with you.
Maybe, or a sidecar.
Ooh.
Is it a motorcycle and a sidecar, or one or the other?
I'm into either or. I gotta
get my motorcycle license before I'm 40. TikTok.
I'm into the idea of you riding a motorcycle and me being in a sidecar. It's just that's Martin Short and Jan Hooks, right? That's in the Jiminy Glick movie.
I think it's in one of the Martin Short specials. It's so funny. Hannah and I were just talking about this weekend about how if I were to be a person that got a motorcycle, it would be like putting on a lesbian trope at this point. So I'm really just going to go whole hog, wild hogs at this point, and maybe I'll lean into the John Travolta wild hogs aspect of it, and I'll be that kind of lesbian on a bike. I feel like that I can get into.
Ooh, yeah. Can I tell you something else?
Please.
That's funny about having my mom visit me and the dog this week is that my mom walked in instantly and was knows how to fix things. Just has an eye for how to be a person who does things, whereas I have a sofa that has a nail that is sticking out from the leg that is just scratching the hardwood floor over and over repeatedly, just
gouging your floor.
It totally looks like it's a tattoo on the floor. It looks awful. And I was like, this thing, yeah, it's been doing that. And my mom was like, I thought it was a spill. What is that? She was like, I thought it was dried oatmeal. And I was like, Mom, it's a scratch on the hardwood floor. She was like, go get me some Vaseline. And I was like, what? Are you doing with Vaseline? She didn't. I don't think ended up using the Vaseline. Or maybe she did. But then put I have also Murphy's oil. So she used that and was pulled out the nail that was doing the scratching. Then put Vaseline and Murphy's oil on the scratches and buffed them out with a cotton pad.
Whew. Patty, come on over. I've got a shower head that will not stop dripping. It will not. And these are things also that I am not handy. And I love that. I love that about Patty. I also love that she thinks that maybe you would be a person that would have oatmeal dried on your floor.
I was I know that I'm not neat, but I'm not a dirty person.
You're neat. You're neat.
I've also been making her watch Shark Tank. Did I tell you about my new obsession with Shark Tank?
No, here's what's weird is like I was out of range for a little bit, you were out of range, and then I see things that are happening on your Twitter and it's like, I'm like, what the fuck? You're not going to tell me you're watching Shark Tank? I saw it on your Twitter and then I refused to like it because you hadn't told me in real life. So it's your new comfort TV, I understand.
I woke up the other day and was on the computer and I like put on the television, which I don't normally do during like the work day, but I put it on and an episode of Shark Tank was on at like 8 a.m. on some cable channel. It was like a repeat from like 2 years ago. But I was like, ooh, it's like people being like, I invented a cupcake in a jar. And they're like, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to invest 25%. I'm going to get 25% equity in your company and give you the $500,000 you want. And then it's like them bartering and going back and forth. And then like sometimes people never, and then sometimes they'll be like, stop talking, stop selling, just listen to me. I'm out now. You talk too much. You didn't listen. Someone will be like, you're very unlikable. You're very unlikable. I'll partner with you, but we need to get a third person because I don't think you're a natural salesperson. Like, they're so cool. It's like all capitalism. So it's like terrible, but also like it's like watching those, for me, like Project Runway and Top Model, like those competition reality shows of a specific era. It's like that. It's like very calming because there's like a flow to it. It all makes sense how it works, and you're just like watching somebody try to quote unquote pull themselves up by the bootstraps and have an American dream, and then you're like they're getting this huge opportunity in front of these investors who are like sometimes really helpful and like great mentors, and then sometimes really cruel.
Your dreams are dashed by Barbara Corcoran. Is she on the panel, Barbara Corcoran?
Oh, yeah, of course she is.
Love her. I knew her work from the Today Show. And question for you, are you sexually attracted to Mark Cuban?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask her. The answer is yes.
Absolutely. No, I knew that you were sexually attracted to Barbara Corcoran because she looks like Sandy Duncan.
Yes, exactly right. Yeah. Mark Cuban, no, his lips are so thin.
Yeah, he has something that I find extremely off-putting. I guess it's maybe like the billionaire aspect of all of it.
He has like
but it's also like the puffy chest.
Yeah, he has like a huge jaw and no lips, which for me is not the look.
Right, it's like the wrong ratio.
Now, Barbara, what's her last name? Corcoran. Barbara Johnny Cochran. She's got the look. Cue that song. Yeah. She's got. Do you remember? Did you watch that reality show? It was called She's Got the Look, and it was about women of a certain age becoming a top model, and it was on like Lifetime, and it was.
Oh no, but I would love it. I'll go back and watch it if the whole thing is like grainy and on YouTube.
It was on in like 2008 when I first moved back to New York, and I watched it, and it's called She's Got the Look.
I mean, it sounds right up my alley. Did you watch it and you know who won?
Yeah, I don't quite remember. I don't think she's doing big things, but like it was like a bunch of like silver-haired women, and then there were some women that were probably like 50 now. Like they were probably 50 then, and I was like, they're old, you know?
If you can find the winner, let's have her on the show.
Okay. You know, I love when we're trying to, like, I love when we're shoehorning somebody in. Like, would you let this person on? Do they count as a you might know her from?
The winner of She's Got the Look? Absolutely.
I'm sure she's acted in something. Probably a guest spot on Veronica Mars. It was probably like, you know, like on a Top Model, they used to win prizes like that. Like it would be like, you get to be on an extra on One Tree Hill.
And it's terrible.
And then like Cara D has one line opposite Chad Michael Murray.
Remind me, I'm drawing a blank. When did Ellen guest on Broadway and she ruined everything? What show was it? She came on and did a guest.
She was in Promises, the revival with Katie Finneran, right?
Oh, and Katie Finneran, God bless her, one of our great guests, was just like, it wasn't good. It wasn't good. She ruined the whole night, as Ellen often does. Folks, if you are new to the show, welcome. This is You Might Know Her From, our podcast where we do what we do, which is shoot the shit with each other. And many thanks to Ronnie, the intern, who oversees. And we have special guest Patty overseeing things as well today. And then we interview an actress each episode. So we are usually weekly. This summer we took a little hiatus so we could have some personal life separate from the pod. And we will be back weekly in the fall, which is truly exciting. So make sure you're subscribed and you know what's happening on the pod.
You're in for a treat today, folks.
Woo!
Hot off the heels of the season 2 premiere of L Word Generation Q, we have one of its stars, one of its secret stars from season 1. And that, of course, you know who it is. It's Laurel Holloman. We were pleased as punch to get her on board and to dig into all things L Word Generation Q, her prolific art career, and also her like myriad of independent film credits that, like, I'm going to be honest with you, like I didn't even know how deep they went.
Okay, we recorded this in the spring, so we hadn't seen a screener of the premiere of the L Word yet. But guess what?
They were still filming.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that there are some real machinations that continue to surprise. But we are so thrilled to have her on the show. The show, of course, premiered on Sunday. So if you haven't dug into the L Word yet, please go back. Start with L Word Season 1. Dig into all 6 seasons and get into L Word Gen Q. And just know that the show is 17 years old at this point, so the interview will have L Word spoilers. So if you're in the middle of your binge, just be wary of that, okay? Just be wary that the show, we're digging deep on the L Word.
You might know her from The Incredibly True Adventures of Two Girls in Love,
Boogie Nights,
Tumbleweeds,
Prefontaine,
Angel,
The Myth of Fingerprints,
The L Word,
and the L Word Generation Q. Wow, this is huge for us. We are here with actress and artist Laurel Holloman. Laurel Holloman, thank you for being on the show.
You're welcome. Happy to be here.
Okay, Laurel, in 2010, you left the acting world to focus on your career as a painter full-time. Your work has since been exhibited all over the world, and I'm just going to throw this one to Damian.
I actually have one of your prints here in my living room.
Bullet.
Bullet from your Tribeca series. Can you tell our listeners, like, we're very into your acting work. Can you tell us the catalyst for prioritizing your visual art?
A lot of it was to do with wanting to have a little more control over my creativity. When you're acting, it's so about getting the job or getting the play or working with a group. And I've always painted kind of for myself. And I guess I've also painted for people's houses, for putting in art for them, things like that. But it never occurred to me that I was going to completely change careers. It sort of started and it evolved in a certain way, and it grew into something with a quicker trajectory than I thought it was going to have, if that makes any sense. So basically, I launched the Tribeca series, which has that painting, that's the print, but it has that painting in it, Bullet. And I wanted to have a show with those pieces. And I ended up leaving New York to go back to LA because my daughter was just starting first grade. Basically, within 60 days, it sold out. And based on 5 paintings that were in that Tribeca series, I was asked to put together a portfolio for an Italian art foundation that goes about sponsoring other artists and helping them with the beginnings of their career. So after 2 months of putting that portfolio together and flying back and forth to Italy a couple times, I won that sponsorship. It was sort of like getting into a graduate program and having some of the best curators around you and other artists influence you. And it was a reason not to go back to acting. And in that time, I had to sign a contract to promise that I would not take any other acting work because of the commitments. Because when you look at a show like All the World Inside, which was in Berlin, I mean, you're looking at like a huge investment. It takes a year to do 17 murals that size. So, I couldn't just commit to the show and then be like, oh, wait, I got a pilot. I'll see you later. That wasn't going to work. So I say 2010 to 2013, really, it tested me. It was hard. I worked on scaffolding for 6 months. I mean, it was really intense. But it was an incredible journey. It turned into so many good things. So I kind of mark it from 2010 to 2013 because after the Biennale, that was the end of that sponsorship. And at this point, I wanted more control over my own studio, where my art was going, where I was showing. But it was a wonderful sponsorship in that I did the solo show Free Falling, and I did All the World Inside, which is in Berlin, and then I did the Biennale. And those shows were just hugely influential on what I was going to do next. And in 2014, I had a show in Paris, and based on that show, I was offered a 5-room solo museum show in Amsterdam. So what was sort of happening was each show was getting me more shows, and I was sort of learning and growing while it was all happening. So there wasn't a chance to go back to acting. It just didn't fit.
How did they lure you back with this sort of life that you had been living? You know, you did end up returning in this great surprise for the 2019 reboot of L Word Gen Q.
Yeah.
How did they get you there? How did they handle the secret? Like, what did they do to bring you back?
I was about to have a show in Paris and I was leaving. And I first of all was super excited for all of my friends because, first of all, in the political climate that we have been in, the show is so needed, you know, and I felt like I hadn't seen another show quite like it. So I was super excited. It was as if like that was happening and I never felt left out or anything. I felt like super excited. I just felt like I was on this train and it's just going in a different direction. And I'd spent 10 years like nurturing it that, you know, so it was like a thing that I was like, oh, I can't abandon this, you know, and it kind of just worked out that Eileen called and then we chatted and then eventually I talked to Marja. And after having a very long, nice dinner with Jennifer, it was as if like the part that was Tina wasn't wrapped up. And I cared about that character that I created for 6 years. And it was going to definitely influence Bet's character, which was pivotal to the show, you know. So we found a way to make it work. And so I went to Paris and I did the show. And then, I mean, I did my show there and then came back. And then I think maybe a few weeks later, I shot that first scene with Jen, which was the first scene I think I shot was the argument scene. Yeah, maybe it was that. I don't know. Which was really great. Jen and I got some input on like what we thought that these characters would say, and Marja and Eileen took that, and it was a little nerve-wracking because I didn't know I was going to act again. So it took me a while to kind of get past that fear of getting back up on the bike, I guess you could say. But if you're going to do that, you might as well do it with a scene partner that you've had day in, day out for like 6 seasons. And so I felt really safe. To be honest, I don't know if I would have acted again if it wasn't for going to do that with Jennifer.
Like in this age of social media and all of like everyone has a camera on their phone, like how did they keep it a secret? Like we had like a weekly watch night for the L Word. Yeah. And so we all were like, okay, so no one else is back. We know who's on the IMDb list. And then you showed up and we were like, ah! We were all very excited. How do they keep it a surprise?
I think I saw in a couple of bars, like people scream, which I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. Yeah. I mean, I was just told to kind of just keep it on the download. I think there was a moment that I'm not sure if casting submitted it or somebody put it on the IMDb for a split second.
Yeah, but we heard it was wrong.
And then they had to pull it down. Yeah. So I don't know if it like hinted at like, people knowing about it, but they worked hard. And then I even went to the premiere, but like in almost like a baseball hat, you know, like I didn't walk the line. I just sort of quietly went in.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, we have more to dive into, but I want to get to one of my favorite credits of yours, which is the wonderful 1995 indie film where you star opposite Nicole Ari Parker, The Incredibly True Adventures of Two Girls in Love. For our listeners, the movie was written and directed by Maria Maggenti. This was her first film, and the set was composed mostly of women. And the way that this love story between these two teenagers is framed is so great. It's Randy, who's this like white baby butch from the wrong side of the tracks, and Evie, who's the well-to-do, black cultured, like popular girl. The story is told so well. I feel like the movie has aged incredibly well.
Oh, that's great to hear. I mean, because when you look at how much technology's changed, I mean, we shot on 16 millimeter for a blow up and like crossed our fingers to get into Sundance. And then, of course, when it did, it was so exciting. But look at how much even that's changed, right? How we're shooting.
Completely.
Yeah.
There's something just really simple and sweet about the love story, which is less about the gayness and more about the awkward, like, sweetness of young love. So can you talk about how the role came to you, and also if there was any part of you as a young actress that was hesitant to play a lesbian in 1995 on screen?
I auditioned for that at NYU because Maria Maggenti was finishing up her master's in film at NYU, and I was in a play when I auditioned for it, playing a character called Mick Kelly. That was an adaptation of The Heart is a Lonely Hunter. So I was already playing a 15-year-old tomboy, just a Southern one, and a very different story.
Yeah.
So I kind of had some of the body language kind of rooted in, like, because I was doing that play for 3 months. You know, it was summer, it was hot, like everyone was wearing jean shorts, and at the time I had really short hair, and it just sort of, I can't remember. I think I had just signed with the Gersh agency, who was my agent, and I went in to read for it. It went really well, and then I read with Nicole, and the chemistry was like immediate. So that was a big part of it. And I think Nicole's just finishing up school there. So like for me, it was like, did I want to go do like a small part in a big film, or do I want to do like a lead in a kind of a coming of age teenage film? And I had always been doing like kind of those coming of age teenagers on stage before. And so this was so exciting to me. It wasn't like there was this moment of, oh, I can't do this because this character is gay. It was more like, this is an amazing character, and this is so great. And like, look at how interesting, like I hadn't seen it before, you know, like I hadn't seen a baby Butch in high school that was out in 1995.
Right. And having an affair with an older woman.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah. Yeah. Randy wanted to be Shane, maybe. I don't think she was going to get
exactly.
there. But I think Randy's more
Yeah.
like romantic. What kind of happened was I got cast, and then I think Maria had a really influential, she was very influential in helping me navigate this character and finding everything that was authentic about Randy. And it was everything from like, we cut my hair, it wasn't short enough, we cut it again. And it was all like, she's like, it's not going to work until you're totally mistaken for a boy. And I was like, oh. And then next time I was on a flight somewhere, and I was like, I did it, I got it, it's good. You know? And then I went to, at this time they were called By Glenny youth groups. So I went to those youth groups every day in New York, just so I could sit with other teenagers or young 20-somethings and absorb their experience and kind of hear what they were going through, you know? I mean, what I liked also about the film is there was a positive family around Randy.
Yeah, she had like a full gay community built around her.
Yeah. And to answer the last part of the question of like, was I afraid? I wasn't, because like it was a great part, and I'm an actor, and I never, to me, like my thoughts were, this is a beautiful story, and if I find the truth of it and we tell the story well, then that's all that matters. You know, work will line up, and to be honest, it did. So it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Did I have some voices around me at that time? Yeah, there was some people that were fearful, like, oh, you need to grow your hair out now, or you gotta, like, now we're gonna play the wife or the girlfriend, you know. And yeah, you hear some of that, you know. And it was also prior to Me Too, so like I would hear things like, I'd be at Sundance and be freezing and this, you know, be snowing, and someone's like, oh, you should take your coat off so everybody sees you in that dress. I'm like, what?
That's horrifying.
Yeah, just stuff, you know, just junk that you have to take in as a 20-something actress.
Yeah.
You know, another thing that I think, and you pointed this out, that I loved about it is that the kind of race stuff is flip-flopped. So the wealthier, you know, girl from the right side of the tracks is African American, and you know, Randy is not from that neighborhood, and it's like it's a whole different thing. I mean, I remember even Fine Line was like, "Are you sure we should put the two of them like kissing on the poster?" And Maria was like, I think we were like riding around in a limo after premiere after that. Like there were still questions. But see, now that would be like, it should be not an issue. It should never have been an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really was ahead of its time, though. I mean, I can remember reading like about it in the back of like a Rolling Stone as a kid, and being like, I want to see this movie. It was like with another gay movie. It was like two movies that were featured, and then I think it was only like a year or two ago, Anne and I went together for Anne's partner's birthday to the IFC Center because they did like a screening of it, and we were like, this is beautiful, and like it totally held up. It totally felt.
Oh wow!
It was beautiful. It's timeless.
a lot of people don't know this, but like that whole crew that was around us ended up being so many other amazing filmmakers. Like Jamie Babbitt worked on that. Lisa Cholodenko worked on that. Everybody was showing up like a week here or there or the whole time and helping make this movie. And I went on to work with those people again, which was kind of cool.
So cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the heels of the incredibly true adventures of Two Girls in Love, you starred in a string of independent films. Paul Thomas Anderson's Boogie Nights, Jean-Marc Vallée's Loser Love, Gavin O'Connor's Tumbleweeds opposite Janet McTeer, and Bart Friendlike's The Myth of Fingerprints with Julianne Moore. You were building like an impressive resume at the height of the 90s indie cinema. Did it feel like you were in this moment, or were you just sort of taking the work that was coming your way?
I definitely felt part of a moment. I must have gone to Sundance like 7 years in a row, like with something. And I don't know how those moments work now for young actors. I mean, I know there's still small movies getting made, but we're in a world of television right now. We're in a world of Netflix and Apple TV and stuff like that. And in some ways that's great because that media is getting to you like right away, you know? And when I look at independent film, yeah, I felt like I was part of something that was very specific to that time frame. And those just happened to be the projects that I got, you know, which were all really interesting filmmakers. But there were also tons of stuff I read for that I didn't get, you know. There was a point where I think I was at Sundance and I had a film there called Lush with Laura Linney and Campbell Scott and Jared Harris. I made a very conscious decision after that to go to LA and do TV. Like, so I want to say January of that screening, I went to LA and was like, can you get me on a cable series? You know, because I didn't want to be stuck on a series that I didn't think was interesting. I wanted to be on something that was pushing the envelope a little more. And then I went from Angel, which was a lot of fun because it was Joss Whedon. I won't go any further than that.
There's a moment right now, yeah.
Fair.
My experience was fine, you know, on Angel. I had very good experience. I got wonderful feedback from all the producers on it. And I was only supposed to do like 3 episodes. I ended up shooting 8. And that was a fun character. But right from that, like that ended in the spring, I got the pilot for L Word. And there was a sense of chemistry between the cast. It's a sense of magic that happened on that pilot that I think is rare.
Totally. So, Laurel, great segue. We're, of course, going to talk about the landmark Showtime series that ran from 2004 to 2009, The L Word. You played Tina Kennard for 6 seasons opposite Jennifer Beals as Bet Porter, and your relationship was essentially at the center of the series. So when the show launched in 2004, you and the cast were, I remember, naked on the cover of New York Magazine. The headline said, or the cover said, "Not Your Mother's Lesbians." And the show had this huge promotional push, in part because it was the first series about a group of lesbian friends. Can you tell us how wild was that first year of lead up and then the sort of release of the show?
It was wild. It was exciting, but when you're inside of it and you're creating it, I don't think you're so aware of like how it's affecting everybody else or where, you know, I don't think I was so aware of how we entered pop culture until later. Mm-hmm. I see it now, like going to Europe and having an art career over there. Like it reached so many countries and so many people that didn't have access to that type of material. And that was a lot to do with like being able to purchase that DVD. You know, maybe you could get it on Canal Plus or whatever, you know, if you were in France or, you know, having people come up to you that are from Tokyo or from different places or from Malta. I remember a girl from Malta was like, "Oh, I got to watch your show. It took forever. Someone sent me the DVDs," and, you know, and just those types of stories are pretty amazing to me, like how far reaching it was.
We were at an L Word trivia night once, and there was like this young German woman who like came up to us and was like helping us with the trivia. And she was like, "I just broke up with my girlfriend and I've been binging the series." And she was like this young queer, like 21-year-old queer German woman. And we were like, "Oh, it has reach. Like it has gone everywhere."
Yeah. That was pretty great. Yeah.
When we talked about like the incredibly true adventures of Two Girls in Love, and you talked about people like Jamie Babbitt being on that set, do you feel like that experience, sort of like being a part of this, not only like LGBT film, but a lesbian film, do you think that gave you some sort of like lesbian cred in the door, that it was like a good PR story or a good connection or what?
I don't know. I mean, I do know that, like, when I was reading for the L Word, at first they said I could read for Tina and Shane, actually, which I thought was interesting. But I knew right away that I wanted to play Tina, and it was lining up with what, like, my life in a strange way, because Tina wanted to have a baby, and I was trying to have a baby. I don't think I had done anything quite as interesting as Two Girls in Love, so it was hard, because it wasn't like parts like that were always coming along. I love Boogie Nights. I'm not taking away from those independent films.
Sure.
But what I was trying to do was be a character actor and like just keep playing different characters. Mm-hmm. What I love is that I think that probably coming off, and also if you look, there are 2 Dolly Hall films, like Leisha Haley came off another independent film that Dolly Hall produced too. So I think that like helps, and I think it definitely helped in a way. But like Tina is nothing like Randy. They wouldn't have grown up to be the same person. I mean, Randy wouldn't have grown up to be Tina. So that to me was just like the most important thing. Like, if I'm going to not do as many independent films, like what am I going to be doing, and what can I do with this character? And what I think I saw in it, and I think Jennifer would probably say this too, is like, we weren't like in a constellation revolving around a male lead. And all of these women were explored and fleshed out in a lot of different ways. And that's a gift. I mean, that's super hard to find. And I love that, like, Eileen will write something that's not always likable. Like, there are times when Tina's not always likable, which that to me is a gift also. Like, you don't want to play for likability. You really want to peel off all the layers of what that character is or what's motivating them at that moment.
Did you and Jennifer have to do a chemistry test, and did you guys have that sort of chemistry right away?
Yeah.
Or was it something that built up over time?
We did. We didn't do it with the actual script, but we had kind of a meeting, and they videotaped it.
Oh.
But you knew it was being videotaped.
Yeah. And we just chatted and talked. It was easy. I mean, I'm a dog person. She's a dog person. Her dogs were there. It was just simple little things that you could feel right away with somebody. We also had mutual friends in the acting industry, and we had a lot of friends that were friends with each other. Like, so someone would be like, oh yeah, go do that with Jen. It's going to be great. So I was excited. I was super excited to work with her.
So Bet and Tina were the core of the show, I think is fair to say. And though they didn't sort of run off the rails, maybe like the way that Jenny Schechter plot did, they did have some sort of classic like soapy on again, off again relationship dramas. Right.
Like Ross and Rachel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
That's what someone said to me one time. I was like, really? Interesting. Okay.
I think you're Rachel in that scenario. I'm going to think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Tina received a lot of backlash. She received a lot of heat, I should say, from the very rabid fan base when she started dating men again on one of the occasions when she and Bet were off. But by the way, Bet cheated. So I want to put that out there. How did you feel as the actor behind it? I'm getting hot. My face is red in the Zoom. Mm-hmm. How did you feel being the actor behind that, like the way that story was being handled?
I knew it was going to happen, and then I was really nervous about it. I knew that I was going to get tomatoes thrown at me, probably, kind of thing, But I said to Eileen, like, why are we telling this story? Like, help me out. And she said, I had a lot of friends in the lesbian community, and when you start having children and you get older, you're more thrown into this straight world. And she had seen that this had happened, like couples broke up, and then all of a sudden a woman that had been with a woman for a while was now with a man. And she felt like she'd seen it happen because of just being thrown into so much that's about children. And if you look at the storyline, she met this dad through swim lessons,
Yeah.
What I found difficult is that I just, like, by the time he's watching football and cutting his toenails on the coffee table, which I don't think Tina would have ever stood for that.
No.
I felt like he got sort of put in a cliche category. I owe it to people that are bisexual to play the character as truthfully as I can. And it's like, we need to collectively be kind to people that are bisexual, to someone that is now trans that might have been lesbian before.
Yeah.
It's being kind to whatever someone's authentic journey is. And I hope that is something that, and I see it happening, that Generation Q is going to really get.
Completely. And the show, I think, was stacked against bisexuals from the beginning, since Alice's bisexuality disappeared. And then there was also Lisa, the male lesbian, and then, like you said, they had a stereotypical straight male as your partner for a short period of time. I agree. I think the show was happening, 16, 17 years ago, but it, the legacy of that maybe can be rectified with Gen Q.
That relationship that Tina has with Henry after Beth, like, she was cheated on, and her life is changing a bit with being a parent and all that. And it also could have been a relationship that she needed to sort of explore and try out and then go, ooh, that it's not for me. But it also could have been like, I think you'll see how Tina changes. I think Tina doesn't need to be part of like a Hollywood sort of high maintenance, flashy group of women. I think that if you see who she's sort of going to become, like now, is more grounded and more comfortable in her skin and less sort of materialistic, I think maybe her value system might be changing a bit and wants less drama in her life. Right?
We love to hear it. Yes.
Because there's certain characters that have a lot of drama.
Bet is in like a hamster wheel of drama. She cannot get out of it.
Yeah. But a very charismatic character. So it's like,
yes.
Yeah.
It's difficult. And Jennifer Beals is very likable. So good on her. But we are so excited so in Gen Q, your fiance that we did not get to meet in season 1 has been announced for season 2 as Rosie O'Donnell, aka Carrie, and we are so fucking excited because we were like, how is Rosie O'Donnell the only lesbian that like wasn't on season 1 of the L Word? It just didn't make sense. So it feels like something is being righted with this. I'm sure you probably can't, but can you tease anything?
I don't know what I probably can't say anything. I'll just say that, like, I love working with her. Love, love, love. And I'm pretty sure she feels the same way. We had so much fun. Oh my God. And it's going to be great. I'm just so excited. I'm kind of like midway through it, so I can't say too much other than look, Rosie's incredibly talented actress, and she's
so good. Really good.
And I think there's also just something about our personalities that clicked right away. We're both adoptive moms. Like, she has a very kind of what you see is what you get, which is I feel like I'm a little like that too. So we're just, both of us are really excited to tell the story and to explore these characters. I also think that Tina has been, and we just probably didn't see it, has been attracted to butch women. And I think that there needs to be more of that on the show.
We'd love to hear it.
Oh, everybody's got their hand. Everybody's like going, yay!
Yes.
We're very into it.
Yes. I find butch women beautiful, and baby butches. So
yes, more representation of butches
just
for sure.
More representation, hands down. Yeah.
Laurel Holloman, we have reached the point of the show that we like to call the rapid fires. It's rapid for us. You can take as much time as you need, but it just allows us to do non sequiturs.
Cool. Okay.
Okay, here we go. Laurel, what is the best perk of having multiple lesbian canon credits on your IMDb?
The perk. Oh, I guess I can always get a drink at a girl bar.
Okay, see, there it is. We have to make sure lesbian bars stay alive, if only for that reason.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Okay, Laurel, you are an actor and a painter. So are these people, Lucy Liu and Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
Whose work, of theirs is more sophisticated. Lucy Liu
Oh no!
or Anthony Hopkins?
Please don't make me do this.
You have to, Laurel. I think it's obvious. You can say it.
Oh my God! No, I like them both. I can't do it. Like it's like
I'll say it's Lucy Liu. It's Lucy Liu for us.
I'd say Lucy's is more modern. Can we say that?
Yes.
And
yes, we can.
Anthony's is I think it's like personal to him, and it's like layered portraits, right? Like that's.
I love you. That's so graceful. Okay, Laurel, you were in 8 episodes of Angel. One of our previous guests told us that David Boreanaz didn't do coverage on Bones. Does that ring true for your experience on Angel?
No, David he was there. It was fine. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Bones came after, so who knows? I mean, I was always
something
like,
might have shifted.
I was like on a ladder trying to shoot him with a bow and arrow or something. It was just fun. I will say my experience on Angel was just totally fun.
That's great.
But I was really naive to this is the painter part of me. Like, I don't watch a lot of television. And at the time, my manager was like, you need to go read for Angel. There's this really cool part. They want like a young Sigourney Weaver. And I was like, what's Angel? She's like, what is wrong with you? You know, like, where do you, I don't like I didn't have a TV. I did, you know, like I'm like mostly buried in painting and like, I'm not like the person that watches everything. Then she explained, just go. So I passed on it in the beginning, and then at the very end, they still couldn't find the person. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll go do it. I read for Joss and all the other producers, and literally got in my car and drove out of the parking lot, and the phone rang, and they were like, you nailed it. Like, they want you to do it. And I was like, oh, I need to watch Buffy and Angel now. and I was like, oh my God, this is so great. You know, like, it's so genius. It's so clever. And guess who else is a crazy Buffy Angel fan?
I don't know.
Jennifer Beals. So while we're shooting the L Word, she was like going through all the like episodes.
Oh, that's so funny.
Like something that we laugh about now. But she would just be like, you slit Wesley's throat. Is that his name? I slit someone's throat. I know that. But it was so much fun. I had so much fun on that. I probably would have done more, but the L Word came along, like overlapping.
We wouldn't change it for the world.
Okay, Laurel, Jared Leto is one of those actors that's known for being very method, and you played his girlfriend Elaine in the biopic Prefontaine. Mm-hmm. On a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being totally phoning it in to 10 being very method, how method was Jared Leto on set?
He's very disciplined. He's very professional. And he was nervous because my ex-boyfriend was Billy Crudup. And so there was another Prefontaine but so he would like ask questions about Billy, and I was like, I'm not answering any of these questions. That's just the side note on it.
I didn't know the backstory. We're glad to know it here.
Yeah, I think we broke up around Two Girls in Love time frame. But Jared is very professional. He's very generous. You know, like he's right. He's very present in all the scenes. He's super focused. I mean, he's not method. Like, I don't think he's gonna like put himself in a vat of ice to be cold. Didn't Meryl Streep do that or something?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, Laurel. In Tumbleweeds, which BTW, I love this movie. You're Janet McTeer's friend and coworker who is experimenting with coffee enemas. Laurel Holloman, what is this? What is the strangest, quote unquote, healthy thing you've done that you're willing to admit on the record?
Strangest. I mean, I probably do everything that some other people, you know, I drink celery juice in the morning, and like I like this thing called Manuka honey. I don't know if anyone's ever tried that. It's like antibacterial and super healthy.
Do you pull it? Like, do you pull it, or do you just like put it in stuff?
No, you can put it in your coffee, or you could just eat it. It helps you if you have a sore throat or something like that. I mean, I don't go too far. Like I don't follow it. I love Gwyneth. I'm like a big fan, but I haven't done all the crazy goop stuff that everybody's done. Like sit in the Vajaja spa and all that. You know, no.
Yeah.
I'm very simple. I'm more like, you know, drink a lot of water, take your vitamins, that kind of thing.
We love it.
Classic. That's classic.
But I think we are entering a world of a lot of crazy health exploration. Some of it interesting.
there was a ton of eating in the 1997 Thanksgiving dramedy, The Myth of Fingerprints. So if you had to sit in one of those pandemic restaurant bubbles with one of your co-stars, who would it be? Michael Vartan, Noah Wiley, Julianne Moore, Blythe Danner, or the late Roy Scheider? We're including him.
Oh, I love all those people. I rode into set a lot with Blythe Danner, so I got to know her. Probably her, because she's an amazing actress and she's had an amazing life. And there's something very fun and hippie about her that I like. I mean, hippie in a good way.
Yeah.
Free-spirited.
She's like a lady of the theater and grand, but also seems grounded and earthy somehow.
Yeah, I remember one day we were going in and Gwyneth was on a movie in Virginia. I think it was the movie she did with Jonathan Shake and Jessica Lange. That movie. Do you guys remember
which
this movie?
one?
I don't know the title of it, but what I remember is while we were shooting in Maine, Gwyneth was shooting in Virginia, and we were about to go in, and I think,
Hush! Jessica Lange and Gwyneth Paltrow? Oh my God, Hush.
This was so cute. Like, Blythe goes, I'm going to call Gwyneth because I have this big monologue I give to you. So her character was giving a monologue, like, why she stayed with Roy Scheider, and, like, it was, like, kind of a, why do you stay with Dad? He's such a jerk to everybody, that kind of thing, right? And, like, she's like, I think Gwyneth's going to, like, basically she called her daughter to, like, talk about the monologue, and, like, you could tell that they shared a lot, and they gave each other confidence. And I just thought that was so cool. My
cool.
Mom's a clinical psychologist. She's not an actress, but like we're very close. So I saw the closeness of that relationship. And then she was just a joy to go work with. And she was like a joy to be around all the time. And she does have great theater stories and amazing. She was in The Great Santini too.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
She's awesome.
Okay, Laura, which is more cutthroat, the art world or Hollywood?
Okay, the art world is such a broad, it's like the Wild Wild West. It's like a rodeo because there's so many ways to be successful in the art world. And there's so many different ways to do it. And so for me, like acting in film, it's a little more definitive. You know, like, oh, you book that TV show, it goes, people watch it. Like it's kind of, so film feels more cutthroat to me.
Makes sense.
Whereas art feels like there's an expanse of opportunity and there's a way to find your niche. But you really have to, both worlds, you have to have very thick skin.
Okay. Laurel, we promise we will release you very soon, but we have one last thing to do, and that's a very, very, very rapid fire, L-word rapid fire, that we are just going to give to you real quick, and then we promise we shall release you. Okay. Laurel Holloman, why was the L word obsessed with death?
I think it was something that Eileen wanted to explore.
Laurel, did you and Jennifer Beals call each other Mama T and Mama B on set?
No.
I didn't know if you were being method, you know?
No.
Okay, if you were attending Dinah Shore this weekend, what cast member would you take with you?
Oh, I'd take Kate. Well, I don't know how I'd take Kate and Leash. And then we'd probably just get our own house in Palm Springs and do something different. I don't know. No, because I wouldn't want to leave out Aaron.
When you got the script for the 6th and final season, i.e. when the show became a murder mystery, be honest, what was your reaction?
Well, I think now we all have a bit of a chuckle about it, even, and Eileen does too, which is like, we were like, okay. I was like, this is different, you know?
Okay, Laurel, we have been hot for years to see the unaired L-word spinoff, The Farm, where Alice is in prison. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't. So
Okay.
I can't comment on it.
If you have a Vimeo link, please send it to us. I'll Venmo Eileen.
Okay.
Okay, this is a tough one, Laurel. This is our last question. Thank you for bearing with us. If you could kill off one other character and let Dana survive, who would you have killed?
Well, we could just kill Henry, like, just never even have the guy.
Right.
Yeah, and just, oh my God, yes, and keep Erin. She's wonderful.
Laurel Holloman, this has been a total pleasure, a delight. Thank you for humoring us with all of our dumbness. We had a ball.
You guys are great. This was so much fun.
my God, what a total pleasure that was. And I have to say, I was super hyped. I had bought the print of Bullet from one of Laurel's first shows. I had bought that right around the season 1 premiere of Gen Q, because I had like a little get together for us to watch it, and I was like so excited to show it off, and then like to have that moment of getting to show her on Zoom that I had her artwork hanging up meant something to me. And of course we love the L Word, but also just like such big fans of the incredibly true adventures of two girls in love, and I love Boogie Nights, and I never realized that she was the girlfriend. And I have to say, I love Tumbleweeds. Jenna McTeer is top tier in it, and so is Laurel, who is getting coffee enemas in it. It's very good. If you're looking for a good, like, 90s indie to watch, it's, like, character-driven, small, tiny movie, and it's very good.
And I also just want to take this moment to apologize to Laurel for interrupting her to name the title of the movie that she was talking about, and that is Hush, starring Gwyneth Paltrow and Jessica Lange. I really had a whole sense memory about my middle school friends and I going to see that movie in the theater and being obsessed with it. So she was right. It starred Jessica Lange, Gwyneth Paltrow, and Jonathan Schaech. Folks, if you're caught up on the L Word, if you're not caught up on the L Word, if you're watching Gen Q, slide into our DMs. It's all we want to talk about this year. It's so exciting that it's back. It is a very important show for us. In all of its beauty and its flaws, it's like a cultural touchstone. And also just want to promote the fact that Damian and I have put together an L Word lesbian chart where we track everybody who's had sex with everybody and link them back to the cast and creative of the L Word. Original, sorry. Only the original at this point. So we will post that again for your viewing pleasure, but just know that the L Word is very important. If you haven't watched, get on board.
Okay, so folks, we've been doing this thing where we've been connecting this month's guest or this episode's guest to a future episode. And so today we're going to connect Laurel Holloman to our first season 4 episode. Is that right? Season 4?
Yes, season 4 premiere, baby, in September.
Okay, good God. So we're connecting Laurel to our season premiere, and this is who it is. So this is a little tease for you to keep those appetites wet. Laurel was in the incredibly true adventures of Two Girls in Love with Nicole Ari Parker, who we love. Nicole Ari Parker was in Boogie Nights with Julianne Moore, who was in Chloe with Amanda Seyfried, who was in Big Love with next month's season 4 premiere. TBD. Figure it out. Put it together.
That Chloe movie I've actually never seen, but I have seen the sex scenes. That's why it's included.
Are they hot?
They're not. They're really not. But it is it's sort of like a Hand That Rocks the Cradle vibe, but like more sexual.
I see.
If you know the show, you know that one of the best things you can do is to leave us a 5-star review on the Apple Podcast app. That's the thing that boosts us to the top of the algorithm. And we want to send out a couple of special thank yous to our longtime listeners, like Vanessa for her beautiful ears and the equipment that she gifted us for this last COVID season. So thank you so much, Vanessa. We also want to thank Ariel Carlin for her searing Grey's Anatomy commentary on all things, keeping us up to date. Ariel, thank you for your review. And of course, Sean, Mr. Fire himself, leaving an incisive review. He's listening to all of the episodes from season 1 forward. And Damian, I want to shout out Duluth Mongoose, who left a beautiful review. And guess what? Some constructive criticism. We do see you, we hear you, and we're listening. Thank you, Duluth Mongoose.
Folks, if you like what we're putting down, please follow us on social media. You can find me on all of the things at Damian Bellino, and you can find my long and tall friend over here at Rodeman. That's RODEMANNE.
You might know her from is produced by us. That's Ann Rodeman and Damian Bellino. We want to thank our tremendous consultants at Grumpy Entertainment. They're our favorites. It's Jason Jude Hill and Daniel Sears. They're husbands and lovely humans who help keep us sane and on top of things. All of that silky smooth editing that you hear on each and every episode is by, of course, Daniel Sears.
Of course, special thanks to Gang. Gang provides all that music, underscoring each and every episode of You Might Know Her From. You can download and stream Gang's music wherever you listen to your music.
And babies, I spend a lot of time on those show notes, so make sure you're going to click on the show note link. That's going to be that image of Bullet. You can check out all of Laurel Holloman's artwork and clips and all of the things that we discuss on this podcast, including probably David Boreanaz's name. I was just wondering if you ever actually submitted us for Supermarket Sweep Redux. Did you ever do that?
Oh, I found it in a tab the other day, and I said, this is probably closed. It made me so sad.
I wish you would have done it because I was watching clips of it online.
We had to make a video, and then I started to feel overwhelmed about the process because it meant that we had to schedule time to be together, which is like a task nowadays.
I know, it really is. But I was watching a clip where a woman was running full speed trying to find double diapers to throw into her cart. And I thought, this show is genius. I don't know that I'm into the remake. The original was one of my favorite programming pieces of childhood. But like, remember you had to like go get like frozen ham and you would have to like grind the coffee for like an extra $100.
One of us would be like, get a ham and a turkey. Probably like you would send me to get a ham and a turkey while you ground coffee, and then
no, but you have to do it one at a time. You have to like tag in and tag out. I would be screaming. It would be so mental the entire time. They'd be like, we have to scrap this whole episode.
Also, I feel like we're both competitive, but like I'm not that good at that many things. So like I am imagining you being mad at me as I was just screaming. I also think I would
get the Franks. There was the episode that I was watching a clip of, somebody had posted online, was literally like some guy running around to video screens, and one was like Lewis, and one said across the grocery store said Frank, and the other one said Rich, and it was like Lewis, Rich, Franks, and then he had to find the right brand of hot dogs, and they're like, he's got it. I imagine me screaming from the sidelines at you.
Oh my God.